Hi everyone. As we continue to work on drafting our essay, I'd like to talk to you about some strategies that you can use for revising, editing, and proofreading your essay. Okay, so revision strategies. So according to the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, revision deals with reading for the big picture, recognizing your paper's organization or lack thereof, sharpening your introduction and thesis statement, adding details and examples, and eliminating unnecessary information. Okay? And then I also have a picture from our textbook. It's chapter 30. Notice chapter 30 is titled Getting Response and Revising. So it's referring to this revision, this, redrafting and rewriting of our essay. And so here it tells you that once you've studied your draft with a critical eye and if possible gotten some responses from other readers, it's time to revise. So by now you've received some feedback from me during our oral presentations and our introductions. You're also receiving feedback from your peers on your first draft, and in addition to that, you should be receiving feedback this week from a tutor at the Writing Center. So now with all this information, all this feedback that you receive from others, from other readers, you should be able to take a look at your essay and see what needs to be changed, what needs to be modified, revised, and improved in order to make the best possible product that you can come up with, okay? So again, as you can see, this is on page 307 from our book in chapter 30, okay? So that way you can take a look at it in more detail, all right, with more time. Okay, so some of the revision strategies that are provided in our book by Richard Bullock. He mentions that you need to revise to sharpen your focus, revise to improve the organization, revise for clarity, and read and reread, and if necessary, also rewrite. And he talks about different ways of rewriting an argument. Okay, so I have my book here with me, and I just kind of want to highlight some of the stuff that he's mentioning here. So when it says to revise to sharpen your focus, it's talking about your thesis statement. And that's why it was important to share your thesis statement with others so that you can see their feedback and see if they were clear on what your argument was, to receive any kind of suggestions or feedback on how you can address any holes that your statement, your argument may have had or may still have. All right, so again, it's we're in this revision stage, so it's totally okay for your thesis statement to be modified. Writing is an ever-changing process, so don't feel bad if you have to tweak it a little bit so that you can change it and make it work for you. All right, and talks about being able to understand your thesis statement and others being able to understand your thesis statement, right? And talks about read each paragraph to ensure that it contributes to your main point. You may find it helpful to outline, and we will be doing an outline for this essay, and that's kind of the whole point of that specific step of the writing process, to make sure that without reading your whole essay, a reader is able to see what your argument is, your thesis statement, and then also to see your topic sentences, which is, you should have one for each of your paragraphs, and how those connect and support your main point, your thesis statement, or your argument for this essay, okay? So it's time to do that. Make sure that all of the paragraphs have a topic sentence and that the topic sentence supports the thesis statement. All right, the other thing here is revise to improve the organization. So notice here we're talking about global issues, meaning things that have to do with the whole essay, right? The essay as a whole. What works best? Should you move some of the paragraphs around and position them in a different way, in a different order, so that you can make your point even more effectively? That may have to happen in order for you to do a good job in conveying your information, your message, and your argument. All right, notice here as well it says revise for clarity. So revise for clarity, Bullock mentions, be sure the readers will be able to understand what you're saying. So look closely at your title to be sure it gives a sense of what the text is about, and your thesis. Will readers recognize your main point? Right, so it's not time at this moment, especially not for this essay, to be mysterious and to assume that the reader knows what you're talking about. No, it is your job as a writer to make sure that everything's clear, that every move that you make is intentional, and that you're trying to persuade a partially resistant audience to your point of view, to your argument. All right, so make sure you're clear and you're not being too wordy. Let's see. And also make sure you define any information or any type of definitions, words, acronyms that the normal average reader may not know about, that is very specific to your topic. Okay. The next part that he mentions, that Bullock mentions, is to read and reread and reread. So yes, you may step away from your essay and just take a break from it, a mental break from it, but then come back and reread it and be critical about it. Don't think that it's the best thing you can write. Every essay could be improved, even if it's really close to being 100% or just excellent. There's always a way to tweak it and modify it to improve it. So don't think that this is the best you will ever write, because you're still a developing writer, and you'll gain more experience and you'll use other strategies, and so you'll improve. So take a look at it, make sure you read it and then reread it again. Be critical. All right. He mentions here, take some advice from writing theorist Donald Murray. And Donald Murray says, non-writers confront a writing problem and look away from the text to rules and principles and textbooks and handbooks and models. Writers look at the text, knowing that the text itself will reveal what needs to be done and what should not yet be done or may never be done. The writer reads and rereads, standing far back and reading quickly from a distance, moving in close and reading slowly, line by line, reading again and again, knowing that the answers to all writing problems lie within the evolving text. All right, so that was from Donald Murray. So notice, writing is ever evolving. It's going to always continue to change and develop, especially as you read more and you take a look at your sources and you're trying to integrate your sources and you're synthesizing everything that you read from your sources with your own opinion and combining sources as well. So give yourself enough time to complete this process. It can be kind of time consuming. All right. The last thing that he mentions here is to rewrite. This was kind of tricky. All right. I will say that. He mentions that especially for writing an argument, sometimes it is helpful to write the opposition, kind of do a free writing exercise where on a separate document you write and argue for the opposition as passionately, I think he calls it as avidly, as you did for your original statement or your original stance. And then he mentions that another thing that could help is to rewrite the draft as a letter responding to a hostile reader, trying at least to make him or her understand what you have to say. And then another option that he provides is to rewrite the draft as an angry letter to someone, or as a table-thumping dinner with the relatives discussion, right from the most extreme position possible. All right, so the last one is to write an analysis of the topic of your argument in which you identify as carefully and as neutrally as you can the various positions people hold on the issue. All right, so those are 3 or 4 different tips or strategies that Bullock is suggesting to the writer. But like I said, that's a little bit tricky. You're totally welcome to do that. Ultimately, if you do that, I think it'll be helpful. And the reason why it'll be helpful, and just like Bullock mentions here in the book, is that will allow you to explore fully and authentically other points of view about your topic. And that should help you make sure that your argument does not have holes, that your argument is not going to easily fall apart, all right? And you kind of stay ahead of the game as far as being able to address the naysayers or address the opposition, right? The opposing view. Okay, so those are all revision strategies, right? So revision, we're talking global major issues of the essay. Moving stuff around, moving paragraphs, deleting paragraphs, adding new paragraphs, making sure that our topic sentences for each paragraph supports the thesis statement, all right? So we're talking major issues, global issues with your essay. All right, so the next part is about editing and proofreading, all right? So sometimes students tend to kind of confuse these with revision, and they are not the same at all, not at all. So I got this information from the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. So let me move this over here. Let me move the camera. That way you can see everything on here. So notice, it says proofreading deals with reading slowly, right? Reading slowly. Notice here, it says do not rush through it, right? And notice how this part is missing the spaces between the sentences. I mean, we can read through it, yes, and we can understand it, but obviously it's missing the spaces, so it's not it's not done correctly. So when it comes to proofreading, it also deals with rewriting awkward or unclear sentences. So notice we went from revision and global issues about your essay to editing and proofreading, which is lower, kind of smaller, sentence level, local issues, all right? So be aware of the difference there. So you'll want to rewrite awkward or unclear sentences, and also correct punctuation, correct grammar, any mechanical errors. You'll also be correcting misspelling mistakes, formatting citations, cover sheets. We don't usually have cover sheets in MLA format, but it is something that you'll do in APA and other formats. So, but don't worry about that for my essay here for our course. And footnotes as well. That's another part of APA style, and references, right? So references is referring to in MLA works cited page, right? So again, the formatting where you tab, double space, correct font, correct size, in-text citations with the parentheses, signal phrases, providing credit to the author and introducing the source and the quotation, right? All those are important. So that's proofreading. All the little things, the local issues, all right? Again, I'll say it one more time. So revision, you're dealing with global issues, organizations of your essay, moving things around, like whole paragraphs. And then when we come to editing and proofreading, it's more of the local, kind of smaller issues, right? Misspellings, grammar, punctuation, formatting, stuff like that. Okay, so again, please refer to our book, The Norton Field Guide to Writing. You can take a look at chapter 30, Getting Response and Revising. That's the one that covers the revision strategies. And then for chapter 31 in our book, that one's titled Editing and Proofreading. And so it provides you with like specific things you can do to edit paragraphs and to edit sentences and edit words, because we're talking about like the tone, and we want a high academic register. It also mentions on here something that I thought was really, really important that I always make sure to tell my students to avoid using cliches. Let me see what page that's on. It's in chapter 31. I can't see it right now, but that's one of the things that it's asking you to do. Are you using cliches? So cliches are phrases that like we all use in our regular conversations, but nobody really knows exactly what they mean, or they can mean different things to different people. And so you don't want to use cliches in your essay, because again, you want to be clear. You want to make sure that the reader does not have to guess anything. All right, so avoid cliches. I avoid using the word you, we, I, our. You can use the word I, but in a very limited manner. So, and you'll probably see those comments and on the drafts, the comments that I give you. All right, so I hope this was helpful, and keep up the good work. All right.